Hello and welcome to Five Star Conversations in the Sun City, the voice of healthcare, healing, and culture in the borderland. This is where real conversations meet real people, the providers, the leaders, and the visionaries who are shaping how we live, how we heal, and how we grow right here at home. Because in a region as powerful and connected as ours, access isn't just about proximity. It's about awareness, trust, and relationship. And that's what we're building here, one conversation at a time. Whole well being, local voices, and one borderland. High five to the vibe. Let's get into it. Now, this guest, I'm so super excited because one of the things that we talk about here at Five Star Conversations in the Sun City is being in harmony. Again, total health and well-being, and that is being in harmony and of sound mind, body, spirit, soul, and money. Yes, we do add money to that vibration, okay? And that's why I'm so excited about who we have as our guest today, and Alex Garcia. Okay, he is a dynamic leader in education and workforce development, currently serving as the site director for Texas Tech University's online programs in El Paso. With a passion for helping individuals level up through education, Alex is on a mission to expand access to degree completion pathways for professionals ready to advance their careers and impact. His journey is a true testament to growth through grit and opportunity, and that's why I'm so excited to have him here on the podcast. From starting as a dishwasher in his youth to playing a pivotal role in turning around one of the lowest performing Applebee's locations in the region, Alex has consistently demonstrated leadership, resilience, and a commitment to excellence. Now, he later transitioned into higher education, where he supported and guided medical students along their academic journeys, helping shape the very professionals who care for our communities. So this is a very important role. Okay, and then today, he's bringing that same dedication to his role at Texas Tech, bridging education, workforce development, and community advancement in the borderland. Alex embodies the essence of whole well-being, local voices, one borderland. By expanding access to education and empowering individuals to advance their careers, especially within healthcare and professional sectors, he is actively contributing to a stronger, more capable, and more connected borderland. His work sits at the intersection of education, opportunity, and long-term community health outcomes. So without further ado, thank you so much for being here, Mr. Alex. Hello, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Michelle, for that wonderful introduction. I'm going to be impossible for about another week with that great introduction.
Hey, you know what? That's we got to lift each other up here,
I'm
you
telling
know?
you.
And to me it's super important to highlight leaders like you. Okay? So, I want to let everybody know that I had the pleasure of meeting you. You came to speak to a group that I'm the organizer with, 1 Million Cups, which meets at the Medical Center for the Americas, and your presentation and conversation just blew me away. It got me so excited. And we have so much in common, from going from restaurant to education, and I'll talk about that later. But I want everyone at first to get to know you, Alex Garcia. Let everybody know a little bit more about how you went from dishwasher to director.
Thanks, Michelle. So, yes, a little bit about my journey. I started washing dishes at a restaurant at 16 years old. I needed to make some money, help my parents, get the things that I needed as a young adult. And then I graduated from college after high school, obviously. And right after college, I went into the restaurant business. And in the restaurant business, I started to learn how to be a strong leader, started to learn the things that really mattered, and staying centered and focused and being prosperous in the things that I did and how I managed people. Eventually, I joined Applebee's restaurant group in El Paso in the 90s, and I did really well with them, and kind of turned into their turnkey manager, which meant that they would give me problem stores, if you will, and see if I could turn them around and make them profitable. And so I did. I took their toughest store at the time in El Paso and turned it around, made it profitable, and then I left the city and left to San Angelo, Texas, and turned a second store around. That one was a little tougher. But then I started, gaining confidence and realizing, hey, my leadership is, true, and I've prospered with this, and I'm starting to refine my craft and learning what worked and learning to see what didn't. So you keep the good and you invest your time and your efforts on the things that worked and move forward with that. Around that time, I realized I wanted to utilize my master's degree and see what I could do and kind of explore other opportunities. And I was fortunate enough to get a job with Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center El Paso. And I started marketing their medical school back in the day before the school was even built. Eventually, I became the director of student affairs and was really happy in guiding and walking alongside medical students on their journey, relating to them and giving them guidance on how to find their residency after medical school graduation. That entailed a lot of work. It entailed a lot of research on my end to guide them properly,
Mm-hmm.
avoiding the hiccups, and really just having an investment in the future physicians of the world. And when students match into residency, they match into spots all over the United States. So it wasn't just the borderland, it was in
Mm-hmm.
sectors all over the US, small communities, rural communities, urban communities.
Mm-hmm.
And it was whatever they wanted to do, where they wanted to practice, where they wanted to specialize, where they wanted to flourish and become contributing physicians of in the medical field.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and along the way, I'm not saying that I've been successful every single time. We learn lessons and we grab the good with the bad, and there have been some hard lessons learned, but you build on the things that you do right and you
Mm-hmm.
prosper with those. So one thing that I've learned over time is, what sets you apart. And what has set me apart is working with excellence. And I've incorporated
I
that
love that.
in every industry and every job that I've had. Even as a 16-year-old dishwasher, I made sure I did it right, I did it well, and I did it better
Mm,
than the others. Um,
I know that's right.
and I'm going to quote Dr. Richard Lang from Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center here in El Paso. He is the president. When I met him,
Fantastic.
he reiterated those words. He said, Alex, I like to work with excellence. And I thought, I've been thinking that and working with that mantra a big chunk of my working career. So it was nice to be reinforced by a leading community member in our city.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So
And just to kind of highlight, that's another reason that this podcast is called Five Star Conversations, because it's about getting to that excellence, that five star, being of service, and that five-star mentality. So I am totally with you on that.
absolutely. Thank you.
Hmm.
Yeah. And, having a vision is always great. My vision, even as a young person, was to be good and excel at what I did. Um, Keeping good people. I've had a staff of 80 employees in a restaurant to 12 staff members in a student affairs office at a school of medicine to two people. And just keeping good people is key because not everybody's going to be a big contributor, but you
That's right.
want to be invested with your team and learn about them, learn from them so that they can learn from you as well. And I know
Mm, I
this
love
term
that. I
is,
love that.
yeah, and learning from them also means, and I use this term as I've heard it most of my life, but rolling up your sleeves. I think it's very cliche for people to say that, and a lot of managers do say that, but they actually don't do it.
But
But you
they
really
don't
do
do it.
have to roll up your sleeves. There's lots of examples in my working career, particularly in medical education, when we'd have a big event and we were serving food. And guess what? I rolled up my sleeves and I
Mm-hmm.
stood right by my staff and I served the 100 medical students walking through the line, and I enjoyed it because you're showing them, hey, I'm part of this team. I'm
That's
here to
right.
say hello, and even though I can guide you to, nail a residency spot, I'm also here to help out and serve you your plate of food.
That's
So
right.
there is a certain degree of humility and a degree of vulnerability when you want to be a strong leader. And if you
Mm.
have those two qualities, I think it really creates a grounded experience to be a strong leader.
It
So,
sure does. Yes,
yeah,
I love that. And so so now, so you said you went from managing and directing 80 employees, and you had 12 employees at the medical school, and then now you have 2 employees. Is that correct?
correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. And so now you're you are so you have always helped develop students. It sounds like you've always been
Mhm.
a leader, students of, I'm sure, every age, because I'm sure at a
Right.
restaurant you're working with people of every age. I'm sure that as at the medical school, you had probably maybe a variety of employees at different ages, but you absolutely had all of those students of a variety of ages who were, really moving towards being physicians that you had to engage with and support. And I know we talked about that, and I want to get into that a little bit later. But let me ask you this, and it's kind of a two-pronged question. When did you realize that you were made for leadership?
That's a really good question, Michelle. I realized that from a really young age. I was in college and I always visualized myself as a leader, a business leader or a leader in a department, any kind of leadership position. And there were certain things that happened along the way, even as a young person. For example, in group dynamics, a project in college, the group would always look at me to lead. Alex, what do
Mm-hmm.
you think? Alex, will you present? Alex, will you
Yeah.
do this? And I was like, hmm. So I was already looked at as, hey, this guy can lead us. And
Mm-hmm.
that just built my confidence over time. And then when I started leading people and managing, small projects or very large projects, um, you just have to refine your craft and be really diligent at everything you say and do, and be really organized. I realized that being organized was the key to being successful in my craft. And
Yeah.
one of the medical school classes created silly awards for their cohort. This is a long time ago, maybe like 6, 7 years ago. And one of the awards they gave, which I wasn't aware of until later, was who's going to get the Alex Garcia Award for organization. And I thought that
Oh.
was really cute and funny because they picked up on my organizational acumen and
Mm.
they made fun of it in a good way to, give an award to one of the students in their cohort
See
about.
that? Okay,
I
that's
thought
cool.
that was
So it
cute
wasn't
and it
even
was
it
funny.
wasn't
So,
one they gave to you. It was
right,
one that they were acknowledging, like, with your kind of in
in
honor
my
of
name,
you.
correct, correct. So
Hey,
I thought
that's
I'll never
cool.
forget that. I thought that was really cute and funny, but it was also it lended itself to the fact that they noticed that the director was pretty organized and took care of business.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that does make a difference. It makes a difference not only in how they, uh, respect you as a leader, but it makes a difference in how they learn and move through the process. Absolutely. And that's something that I have learned and am continuing to learn as I go through. And so, with that being said, so the first question, when did you realize you're a leader? So, my second question is, and this is a really interesting one, um, is there, sir, are there certain qualities in an employee, or even in the students? Could you spot a leader from a mile away? Is kind of what I want to kind of say.
Yes. It's hard to pinpoint what that was, but with medical student cohorts, it was different because I could categorize them in what I thought they were going to go into as a specialty, and I
Mm.
would tell them, "Are you going to go into surgery?" He'd be like, "Yeah." How did you know that? I said, "Because you have the characteristics and the qualities of surgeons,
Oh,
and you
wow.
have that of an orthopedic surgeon, and you have that of a pediatrician. And I usually hit the nail on the head, which I thought was very, very interesting.
That is interesting. Wow,
Yes,
to that degree of specificity. Would it also be, perhaps their level of a little bit of a passion towards that arena as
indeed.
well? You could pick
Yes,
up on that intuitively.
yes. And levels of empathy. Pediatricians, those going into primary care, their level of empathy was so high. Not that other specialties aren't, but I could see that a mile away in just the way they handle things. And with
Wow.
employees, with
Yeah.
staff that I worked with over time, it usually be it was their level of commitment and their level of completion. When they did a
Those are two
job,
strong words right there:
mhm,
commitment and completion. I like that.
indeed, yeah, and when I noticed that somebody produced a very solid product in handling a big event, or the way they wrote an email, or the way they handled themselves in front of physicians and leaders in the community, I thought this person is going to thrive and I want to build on that. So then I would start coaching them and telling them, hey, you can really do this and you can do that. And it felt good to have um, being able to be a mentor to people. And
Yes.
my career's been long. I'm in my mid 50s now, but even in my Applebee's years, I've had, they're friends now, but I've had staff reach out and say, I remember the things you would tell me when you were managing the store, and I kept those comments in my heart. And they thrived. They're leaders in their own craft now, and I think that's really amazing how I felt like I planted a few seeds over time. Yeah,
I love I love, going back to your restaurant days, and how you're saying that the way that you managed and directed and led is something that these people took no matter what direction their career took. Because
hmm,
I do believe, I strongly and firmly do believe that the best businesses, period, that I've experienced or seen, they do have a strong component for mentorship.
indeed.
And the ones that are the businesses that are not doing so well really don't. I mean, it's just it just seems so obvious that it gets overlooked. How important it is to have leadership that are developing their people no matter what stage that they're in. That is something that is so rare, and I believe that it's something that really, I believe that any type of company in across markets, if that's the mentality that you go into it with, yes, of course, there's certain positions that people need to already have, probably some sort of
Sure.
know-how, especially technically, but like the soft skills and the development, the character building skills, the organizational skills, these are things that can largely be taught if someone has the right spirit, and that desire for complete for what do you say, commitment and completion.
Indeed.
That, if they have that, then those things then every, the organizational side, or the character building, or the mentoring and building them up, as you were saying that you would do for your employees regularly, those are things that can be taught. So on that note, before we go dig deeper into your to these some questions that I want to ask you when it comes to finding the right fit and the job development side for the medical
Yeah.
side, because that's very interesting to me. And I know that if you are working with all of these different practices and reaching out to for residencies across the nation, um, in order to give the students the best experience, I'm sure that there's something you looked for in the practice or in the hospital too, that to make sure that you felt that they were going to be placed somewhere that was going to actually be beneficial to them. So I would love to learn more about that. But before that, I want, since we're kind of like, we've kind of gotten deep into who you are, I would love for you to tell uh, our audience and talk to people about what you're doing now as the director of online programs at Texas Tech, and what that looks like, and how you're helping the people of the borderland. And does it go beyond? Can anyone join? Can anyone enroll in these programs?
Yeah, anybody can enroll in these programs. It is better if the person is a Texas resident. That way they pay Texas tuition and fees and not out of state fees. But yeah, so, intertwined with sound mind, body, soul, and money, with the aspiration of having everything be optimal in those regards, people can level up. And if they haven't finished their degree for whatever reason, they have an opportunity to do that very easily. We've created a program that's called a $10,000 degree completion program, which takes credits from individuals that never finished their degree for whatever reason. Maybe they started a family early, or they had to start work young to help their parents, help themselves. So many reasons that people start college and didn't finish. And or they just got busy, and before they knew it, 10 years had gone by. Whatever the reason, we've created a degree completion program that is cost efficient, time efficient, flexible, and just built for the adult learner, the person who is ready to get their degree now for whatever reason. And there's a common thread with everyone that has joined our program and graduated, completed the modules, etc. And that common thread is they're ready. They're just ready now for leveling up. They want to level up in their current job, or they want to level up and get another job, etc. I mean, securing a college degree now can secure a raise. It can
Mm-hmm.
um, grasp that promotion, if you will, and really just attaining life goals. If they're ready to do that now, then their lives will be changed to get that college degree in their pocket that they didn't get 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or 4 years ago. And then they
Mm-hmm.
jump to the next level. And some people have taken our micro credential courses, which I'll talk about briefly, and
Okay.
just by taking those micro credential courses, they've secured the raise. Their managers have turned their direction to them and said, "Hey, he's an aspiring leader. He wants to move up. She wants to move up." And so people take notice when people are ready to level up. So yeah, our
Yes, they
degree
do.
completion program is built for the adult learner. The average age of our learners is 41 years old. So for those people that are older, don't feel intimidated. There's all ages. There's students in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, like myself. And yeah, so we offer micro credential courses, and we offer them at no cost. And we loan out the books, and we offer 12 credit hours for micro credentials. Those
Oh,
do
wow.
require in-person Saturdays.
Okay.
Not every Saturday, every other Saturday, and they last 2.5 months. But
Okay.
and we also give credit for prior learning experience. It's called PLA, prior learning assessment, and we give credit for things like professional certifications, work experience, licensures that people may have in their workplace, and life experience. And so 9 credit hours of those and 12 credit hours of micro credentials. Those micro
Okay.
credentials, again, are free. We loan out books. You come every other Saturday to learn topics that are relevant really in any workplace. And the
Mm-hmm.
subject matter is career development, organizational relationships, staffing
Mm.
strategies, and team leadership. And digital badges are awarded for these modules, and they're hyper-focused courses that are aimed at improving your skills in the workplace. And with
Mm-hmm.
those 12 credits plus the 9 credits of PLA, we are giving you 21 free credit hours to put towards your college degree. So let's just
Wow.
put an overall picture on this. If somebody has 70 credit hours from El Paso Community College or any college, And then we offer the 21 credit hours of PLA and micro credentials, and they pay administrative fee to convert those credits into their degree plan. They can have a college degree attained online in 1 year. If they have less than 70 credit hours, it may take a little longer, a year and a half, etc. But
Okay.
very
Wow.
achievable, very attainable. Again, built for the working adult, flexible learning, learning at your own pace. We realize that the dynamics of learning are changing.
Mm-hmm.
We realize that learners are changing. They're preferring to do things online. Some prefer to do hybrid programs. But this degree plan is built with flexibility, and it's just built with the adult learner in mind.
Wow, that is fantastic. So you're saying if somebody has over 70 credits typically, and then they may be able to pair this these extra credits and then
Hmm.
whatever else they may need depending on what path, what probably degree path that they're
Hmm.
aiming towards, but they would basically essentially be able to have those additional 21 credits to add to whatever credit history they already have, and then that would go towards finishing their degree. And then I heard you say earlier that it should be achievable in that range for less than 10,000 or for up to $10,000, and they should be able to get their degree.
That's correct. That's correct. It will vary depending on the amounts of credits that are applied towards their degree plan. So it can
Mm-hmm.
go from a year and a half to, I'm sorry, from a year to a year and a half, and it may
Okay.
go from a little bit over $10,000. But again, we work with
Right.
the students. We do realize that cost matters, that cost is important. So we
Mm-hmm.
look at everything and we work with the student and be as flexible as we can. We also waive the application fee, which is $150. We waive that
Okay.
so that students can get into the Texas Tech degree online program easier and without a lot of cost barriers. And so
Wow,
the
that is
degree is
fantastic.
a it is it's a the
It's a
degree is a Bachelor
bachelor's?
of Science in Leadership Studies,
Oh,
and we now offer a Master of Science in Leadership Studies, which this degree plan just launches this summer in August. But yeah, the Bachelor of Science in Leadership Studies was first launched in Dallas Fort Worth almost 2 years ago, and then we launched it here in El Paso March of 2025 last year, and it's doing very
wow.
well. This next month, I have four graduates from the program, and then in August another four. So the people that have
Congratulations.
signed
And
up
you
a
said
year ago,
you just launched
yeah,
a few of like a year ago?
like a year ago, so they took the micro credential courses and then they got online and finished their coursework. And yeah,
Yes.
we have 8 graduates already, and they'll just start. The snowball effect will happen. There'll be more graduates as more cohorts join the program, and it's
Mm-hmm.
really exciting to see that. I reached out to the August cohort and said, "Hey, I'm going to have a mini celebration for you in May. What do you guys think?" And they're like, "Alex, we can't believe that we're almost done. Thank you for this." And so, yeah, they applied themselves,
Wow.
and again, the average age is 41. So these are people that have been well invested into their working careers, and they're making some big changes. They're becoming a mover and a shaker.
You know
Yeah,
what? I love this so much. That first of all, that Texas Tech has, identified this need and been able to create the space for people to continue to level up. Because again, just like you, you pointed to it, I truly do believe, and that's why 5 star conversations exist, to be of that we when we personally take care of ourselves, then we're going to better take care of everyone around us. And sometimes perhaps the only I mean, we get to lead ourselves first, right? Like that,
indeed.
you got to start somewhere, and that's really a great place to start because there's nobody in your way, as far as that goes. And then it's just it's such an empowering thing, and empowering opportunity to to pour into yourself, because it does start to give you a confidence when you start learning again, and you're developing skills, and you realize, like, hey, I am smart, hey, I am I can finish something, you know what I mean? I like those
Indeed.
things are those things, and we were talking a little bit before the podcast started, and I was saying that that I have heard that a lot of mental health issues can be resolved with earning more.
100%.
And I know that to be true for sure, because as somebody who is, I've worked professional jobs my entire life, off and on. I have a little bit of a similar background, not completely, but I had started school. I had started school. This is in Kentucky. I had started to go to the community college there. And then I was waiting tables. And as I was waiting tables, I was also trying to do the real story of my life is that I've always kind of stretched my, I've always been trying to do too much all at the same time. And that's like something I'm unlearning now so that I could go deeper into, something I'm passionate about. So, but at the time, I was a representative for Legal Shield, and I was waiting tables. But then I had started school, and I still was a non-traditional student back then. I was like 27 or 28. Oh my God, that's almost been 20 years already, Lord. Anyways, the time goes fast. It feels like
It does.
yesterday.
It sure does.
And but I was waiting tables, and one of the women I ended up waiting on, it's just a fate thing. And this happens in restaurants a lot. In my life, it has, and I'm sure you can attest to that. And why actually the service industry is such a great place for people to start developing those interpersonal skills and organizational skills, interpersonal skills. You have to lead yourself and make sure that you time everything well, and you're still present with the guest and da da da. Well, one of my guests was a woman named Nicole Dummett and her husband. And we got to talking, and she was asking me what I did. And I said, oh, like what I was working towards or whatnot. And I said, oh, I'm, selling the Legal Shield, which is like what prepaid legal, it used to be called prepaid legal.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing that. And I was running the meetings for prepaid legal, and really wasn't, honestly, and I'm just being honest, I wasn't really making any money yet. But I had taken on all this leadership stuff, because that's just because there were no meetings there. And I'm like, I'll run them instead of thinking, hey, let me make money. It's just kind of the nature of my spirit has always been kind of focused on leading stuff, I guess, But anyways, so she had turned out to be the director of Bluegrass Career Services, which is an agency. They're still there with an agency, a sister agency to Employment Solutions, which they help people with disabilities and other barriers to employment to get jobs. And so they were the sister agency to the College for Technical Education, which was a technical college that also helped the students with job placement. And so, like, she liked me a lot. I gave her my card because I'm like, oh, she said, you could talk to the students about Legal Shield. I'm sure they could use them, because many of them were like first generation college students and things like that. And they had a lot of other issues outside of just, like the technical skills, as we all do. Again, like you said, that's what happens. But anyway, so I would call her about the Legal Shield in the meeting, and she was like, you know what? I just love the way you follow up and everything. She was like, you know what? I would love to offer you a position to do job placement with us. And so I ended up doing that instead of everything else I was trying to do. But my main point in bringing that up too is that besides the fact that, like the restaurant industry, and I understand how powerful of a development place that can be when it's operated properly, how great that can be to develop people's character. But also because when I started working there, I stopped going to school after a while, because it was just too much, at that time. But I was working alongside incredible people who had like master's degrees in counseling, and I just was there. I think you had said something like this at your presentation, but I think they have more things in place now to where like probably somebody like me couldn't just get a job there anymore, because a lot of times people now, like, people are so much stricter on you having degrees and things.
Very much. But just to circle back on your story, Michelle, you know, you're a dynamic individual. You're the kind of person that walks into a room and we remember you. And I'm sure
Oh,
you've
thank
carried
you.
that in your lifetime everywhere you've gone. So people recognize dynamic leaders, and we want people like you on our teams. So it's not surprising that people have gravitated towards you and, you know, enjoyed working alongside you.
See,
So
thank you for
yeah,
saying that. Thank
yeah,
you. It's
indeed, indeed.
well, and that brings me. I'm glad you said that, and that brings me to something, an observation that I would love for you to go into a little bit more from your vantage point, because one of the things that I have noticed, because again, this was all in Kentucky, which I grew up here in El Paso. I went to Hanks High School. I went there until I was in my freshman year of high school, and then I ended up moving to Kentucky, which was a culture shock.
Very much. Yeah,
you know, and and I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? You know, and so, but now my dad's side of the family lived there, okay, lived in that area. So I ended up going through high school there. And then a lot of my professional development did happen there.
hmm,
And so I came back here in 2019 to connect back with my mom and recalibrate of what I wanted to do with my life, because just like you're saying, sometimes as adults, we make moves that make sense to us at the time, because I
yeah,
mean, I'd never had a salaried position before. I'm like, this is pretty awesome. I mean, it like the first couple months I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to make it because it was
yeah,
just so new and such a different environment. But I ended up thriving. But then you hit a ceiling. Then you
yeah.
realize, okay, after the thrill of learning something new is gone and you get
Oh yeah,
settled in, then you're like, wait, I don't want to do this.
yeah, yeah. I think I experienced that with the restaurant business. I
Mm-hmm.
had done well, and I was offered almost like a um, proprietorship with Applebee's,
Mm-hmm.
with the San Angelo store, because I was being given the opportunity to have a profit margin shared with me. And then after that, I thought, you know, how much longer am I going to do this? I've already done well. How much longer do I have it in me to continue to run restaurants? And I could have, and I'd probably still be there if I hadn't made a move, but I felt like I had reached that glass ceiling as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, you know, I could coast, but comfort levels, comfort zones can be extremely dangerous. And
That part, sir.
if
That
I
part.
would have stayed, I wouldn't have spread my wings. I wouldn't have learned um, my my skill level in helping medical students prosper and enter the world of physician life. And that really was a whole new level. I know I keep
A whole
saying the
new
word
world,
level
wasn't
up,
it?
but it was a whole
Yeah.
new level. And I entered a entirely different career in higher education, and I
Yes.
prospered. And again, it was rejecting that comfort zone
Mm.
and
Yeah.
realizing, as you said, that glass ceiling was ever present. And I thought, I thank you for this, Lord. I've reached it, but what else is there?
What
And
else
you
is
know, I'm
there?
going to take a look. And He helped me spread my wings, and here I am at the almost end of my working career, because you know I don't want to do this too much longer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but I've been able to flourish in different industries, and that's
See,
really really rewarding.
I love that. And for people, for tortured souls like my past selves used to be. I wouldn't say, I
Mhm.
wouldn't call it a tortured soul. I was it because actually, like, I say that in jest, but I really went through a dark night of the soul journey. It was like a early midlife crisis.
Hmm.
which I'm sure there's a lot of people watching that can relate. And so that the reason I'm a little bit digging into this is because, like, it didn't even then it didn't necessarily occur to me, I guess, to go back to school. I didn't know what to do, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, there were, now in hindsight, I understand that there were spiritual layers that needed to be dealt with. So, there was that. But I know for sure if I had not had started to go back to school, and honestly, the person who encouraged me to go back to school was an ex-boyfriend, and I just was like, I didn't
mm,
I he like pretty much forced me. He's like, just do it. Like, you would be so good in school, and I'm like, I mean, I just didn't see that for myself, and now I'm so glad that I went back to school because, I mean, even and I'm still finishing my bachelor's, but I finished my associate's degree last May. I graduated. Wait, was that? Yeah, that was last week. God, the time's going fast. Um, it, it was last May, and I walked. I got to walk at UTEP.
nice,
With
wonderful.
EPCC, and
Yeah,
my mom had never seen none of us ever graduated like and walked. So I got to have that experience for my mom. That
phenomenal.
meant those things do you don't realize how much they mean to you and to your family until you go through them and you give yourself that chance to do that. And it seems like something so, it's easy to say it's trivial because it's like sour grapes a little bit.
Hmm.
It's kind of like,
Hmm.
I mean, I'm like, I still graduated. It's not that big of a deal. But I know I realized, I was like, you know what? It is a big deal. I don't want my mom to not ever have experienced any of her children walk in and get their, in their, what do you call it? The gown and cap
The
and gown.
regalia.
Like, I think
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
like, I think that's really cool. And even not as much as being really cool, but it's kind of sad that none of us did. Like, it makes you really get deep into thinking like what was going on in our lives, da 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 da. So, a lot of those traumas that we're escaping by
Sure.
not, because of whatever it's really hard to look back and ask yourself, like, why did I choose this path instead of that path? And
Yeah.
now I can go even deeper and say all that was for a reason, so I can inspire other people to realize that it's not the end. It's not the end of the world, because you can always choose different and decide to do something different, and that is meaningful in the world today, because there are so many great people that just simply just didn't, made different choices in the beginning. But having a program like yours and what you're doing to offer online programs, and also, the every other Saturday, but largely online,
Correct.
for people to be able to have that flexibility, and all they have to do is, have those few days a month that they, or a few hours and days a month that they, section off with you all, but that it could still work around whatever else they have going on in their life. Like, this is a powerful time that we live in of empowerment. And the fact that you're offering those things for free, I can't express enough how. So my point I was making, because I went on tangent a little bit, but last semester I was taking, I went full time, and I took I took, what was it? Introduction to World Religion, and I took advertising, because I'm going for my media advertising degree. So, I can
Good for
continue to
you.
bring these stories and get better, and reach more people about these stories of hope and positivity and empowerment, instead of all the doom and gloom that we always get pushed. I'm like, let's get into community.
Totally. Totally.
I also love that that what you're doing is, I love the fact that there's a little bit of an in-person element, because I think that's important. I believe it's important.
Yeah. So the in-person element lets students remember what it's like to be a student again. and it gets
Mm-hmm.
them back in the learning environment, and they start sitting in a classroom. And
Yeah.
once they have those micro credentials out of the way, they already know what the learning environment looks like again. So
Mm-hmm.
then they embark on the online degree, and that in-person element is finished.
Oh, okay,
So
good.
we,
Okay.
we, we don't abandon them, but I do want to bring up one very relevant point. When they're done with us, when they've done the micro credentials and they've completed their in-person Saturdays, then they enroll online for their degree completion.
Mm-hmm.
We assign them an OSA, and it's called an online student advisor. And that
Okay.
person stays with them throughout the degree completion. And their primary
Mm.
purpose is to make sure that they don't take a course that's not going towards their degree completion.
That's
So
fantastic.
they guide them and make sure that they take the right courses. So it's really nice to have a companion, if you will, or an advisor along the path of their educational journey once they're fully online.
Okay,
So
great.
that's
So they're
helpful.
always going to have that support.
Yes, indeed. Hmm.
That's fantastic. Okay, so I know we're about to wrap up here. So, because I know you're a busy man, and I just truly
And you
appreciate
too.
everything. Yes.
And you too.
And I appreciate, I'm looking forward to getting to, connect with you even more deeply and to help guide more people towards your program because I really do believe it's that important. Um, one last question from especially for this is for my medical peeps, the
Yeah,
people
of
with the
course.
medical practice. For you being somebody who's placing residency physicians or physicians into or medical students into residencies, what made a placement 5 star? Because I think that's important. Because I would imagine that if a residency placement was 5 star, first of all, because I don't know this, maybe other people don't know this, is a residency a paid opportunity for the medical students?
It is, but it's nowhere near what their physician salary will be like when they're done with residency. So
Okay.
there's the residency salary, if you will, is partially state funded and federally funded. So it depends on where you
Oh,
do your residency. You will get paid a little bit more if you're in New York State
okay.
versus residencies in Texas, but it's pretty standard.
Mm,
And it's not a ton of money. So it's always, they're learning. They're still learners,
yeah.
but they're not paying for school anymore. They're getting paid to work, and it's on the job
Okay.
training.
And do,
Um,
do those always have to happen in hospitals?
yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
So it's their clinical training um,
Okay.
for anywhere from 3 years to 5 years. So primary care residencies like pediatrics, family medicine, internal medicine will range from 3 to 4 years. And then the really difficult and highly competitive residencies like neurosurgery,
Mm-hmm.
dermatology, ENT, or otolaryngology, those are a little bit longer. I think the longest is 7 years, which is neurosurgery.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah, we want that. We
so
want
that
them to take a
we
little.
want them to know what they're doing. Yes, indeed. But yeah, it was always really, really rewarding to see students match into their desired specialty. That was always great. They had to have a backup plan though, in case there wasn't a spot for them. They had to have a plan B. We always
Mm,
encouraged a plan B, but yeah, the fruits of seeing them match into their desired specialties and their desired locations was uh,
mm-hmm.
was really great.
So even if they were going into primary care physician, they would do that at a hospital in a hospital setting, not at a clinic. They couldn't do it at a practice or a.
They could be, so the hospitals could be affiliated with clinics and they could
Oh,
still do
okay.
their rotations through clinics and hospitals. Right.
Okay, and I would imagine that's largely for the organizational structure. Is that would you say that's probably what it is,
Correct.
and for
100%.
that oversight and all of those things. Um,
Hmm.
did what was it, what was there anything that stood out to you whenever you were like going to make a relationship with these people? Like, who would you talk to the HR? They probably have an internship probably program person that you develop relationship with.
It's actually a standardized process. It's an application process.
Oh,
So it's like applying to med school all over again, but they were applying for residency. They would
oh,
submit their
okay,
applications, and it's a standardized procedure. And
Oh,
then
see, that's good.
there's a ranking process. So they would rank their programs. Students would rank their programs in their order of preference, and the
Okay.
residency programs would rank their students in order of their preference as well. And when that
Okay.
ranking algorithm would come into play, there would be a match. And so
Oh,
the El
wow.
Paso hospital would rank them, the student would rank them, and if they matched, that's where that residency spot was secured.
Oh, wow. Did you
Yeah,
help with job placement too? Did your not maybe not you directly, but the program?
I don't believe so. I think most residency programs, when
Oh, they
residents are
just kind of
done,
slipped right
they
in.
can, yeah, they either stay at that teaching hospital or they apply and work wherever they want,
Okay.
really. But
Okay, but it sounds
there
like
is a lot of hospital recruiters though that are paid to recruit residents
oh,
when they're about to finish to for a job at their hospital.
okay.
Yeah,
Probably depending on how great they were, then they got offers. They got almost got to choose from a different selection of offers. Okay,
indeed,
that's
indeed.
really interesting to know. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for for our time. I could
Oh
talk to you
man,
all
thank
day
you,
because you're
Michelle.
just
Thank
that
you.
type of person, man, that I know that I could learn from, and so I'm glad that you came on and shared your wisdom and perspective, and really it was just a sliver of the tip of the iceberg of who you are and what you have to offer. And so I know that just based on our conversation today, based on your presentation at 1 Million Cups last week, I know that you have a standard of excellence. So I feel confident that anybody that is connected into your program is going to have a great experience, and they'll definitely have somebody to help guide them through that.
Thank you for that. Agreed. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so lastly, where can people find out about your program? And then also, I'll share it, or like on LinkedIn, you could put it in the comments. I would recommend that you put it in the comments so people can also follow you and
Sure
get
will.
that
Yeah, I'll put
feedback.
the
But
link for our
okay,
degree completion program with Texas Tech University on my LinkedIn. So
okay,
yeah, it was a pleasure having me as a guest here, and always
yes.
great talking to you, Michelle. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you
Again,
so
just
much.
such a dynamic individual. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, and everyone, make sure that you follow Alex Garcia. You can find him on LinkedIn, and then we're going to share whatever platform you're watching this. I'll make sure that I get the links to the program so that you can find out all about it. And again, thank you for your time today. Remember to be in harmony of sound, mind, body, spirit, soul, and money. With the high five to the vibe, this is Five Star Conversations in the Sun City, the voice of healthcare, healing, and culture in the borderland. Thank you. Bye bye.